Hello everyone, welcome to this special video where I am mourning Twin Peaks. It's been a few days since the last two episodes happened. I have to say I'm still recovering. I in fact feel exactly like Nado when she disappears into outer space. So I have hope that eventually I will get back on the ground, end up in a jail cell, turn out to be Diane, and kiss Dale Cooper, basically. Okay, so I know it's been quite a traumatic experience for a lot of people, and I don't blame them. Honestly, I hadn't seen that coming. I hadn't. I'm shocked. There are so many questions unanswered for, and yet I asked, no, I volunteered, I happily volunteered to be taken on a mysterious journey with those creators, and I didn't know what the final destination was, and it turns out it was the infinite cosmos or something, and I would never have purchased a ticket for that myself. But I've never said no to any type of journey, so I'm glad I went through it. But I have to say I'm processing the whole thing, and maybe talking to you guys is a little bit like part of my therapy. I know a lot of fans should do some fan fiction writing therapy. I mean, I've seen a lot of people who are very angry. Some people are lost, some people are happy. I'm fine with all of those options, except I don't agree with people who have a life mission now to convince us that we were exploited by watching this series. I don't understand those people, and they're probably watching this video, so hello. But I just don't see a point. I don't see why trolls would take advantage of that finale to just like come and bother us with their hate for life. So there you go. So it's basically a mess in my head right now, Twin Peaks wise. And so I wrote 2 pages of notes. I'll just kind of go through them and we'll see where this leads me. Okay, so first of all, when Bad Coop is on the road at the beginning of part 17, there's this sound effect and those flashes. I don't feel like he's just traveling on the road. I feel like there's another level of travel that I cannot comprehend, but it's possibly linked to what's happening in part 18. I don't know, but I mean, Dale Cooper never drives like this, so Bad Coop has got some extra dimensional type of traveling involved with this big Cherokee, whatever, pickup truck. Also, when we visit the Giants, well, the theater, the White Lodge, did you notice that the screen is actually set on Sarah's house, or the Palmer house? If the giant is all-knowing, like he's been all this time, how could he not predict what's happening now? I think everything that we've seen that is so troubling is in fact, and maybe it's just my hopes talking here, but I have a feeling that everything is in place for a continuation of that story, or should I say of those stories. I mean, yes, it could be the end, and it will be fine if it is. But as someone who very much enjoys fiction, I do find that everything could just be picked up where it's left right now and still answer a lot of the stories that were left unanswered. Also, I noticed that Albert jokes about his watch stopping at the beginning. So that's interesting when you know what's happening later in that episode with the clock stopping between 2:52 and 2:53. Also, again, in the the White Lodge, it's funny, but you know, there's like this gold pipe in the middle where he will eventually eject Bad Coop, who's in a cage. On the side, there are two, I mean, maybe it's my screen resolution, which is bad, but to me, they look like two smiley faces, which I find hilarious. Oh, Cooper. You know, when Cooper calls the sheriff's station right after Bad Cooper has been shot, of all people, by Lucy. Good job, Lucy. I'm actually surprised she achieved to kill him because Ray didn't. I don't know what the difference is, why he died this time, but he didn't die the first time. So that's an unanswered question for me. But Cooper says not to touch the body. And yet, when Bob gets destroyed by Freddy, he touches Bad Cooper's hand to put on the ring. And with the feeling I got from mainly part 18, that scene with Diane in the motel, different moments where I had a feeling that it's like Bad Cooper joined Good Cooper, and now he's got a little bit of both in them. So I'm wondering if that's got something to do with the fact that they touched. Or as I read somewhere, it could be a fourth person, but I feel like that fourth person is really a mix of those two extremes, extremely good and extremely bad person. So yeah, that's obviously super puzzling like everything else. Oh yeah. So what's up with Mr. C's hairpin with a diamond? It's almost like the heart of the ocean for the forest. I mean, what's with this? Is this like a Victorian piece of jewelry? Maybe he and Candy and, well, the Pink Girls, maybe they met, and that's why they have this common shared love for bling bling. I thought that was like subtle but extremely hilarious. So did you guys notice this? His huge shiny diamond hairpiece in the back. He kind of inspired me for my fancy look today. If Bad Cooper can wear girly stuff, so can a girl. Oh yeah, Andy. What's with Andy? I mean, I gotta say, he's kind of like a major idiot for not recognizing Bad Cooper when he saw him at first, because he did see the two faces on the screen, and like suddenly he's like, oh, it's important, and then he realizes. But come on, Andy, make an effort. What will happen with the message that Margaret sent before she died to Hawk with the mountain? I mean, I want to know what's happening with this. Maybe David Lynch and Mark Frost just really want us to write a bunch of fan fiction and make what we want out of this. Why were the Mitchum brothers there at all? Why? I think it's because they wanted to make sure they had plenty of snacks for everybody. That's the only reason. Also, in that scene where Bob comes out of Evil Coop and he's like a flying ball, as soon as Coop mentions Freddy, Bob goes after Freddy. So I'm wondering why he would do this. Possibly, maybe he realized that he's got some crazy superpower, and that if he were to enter Freddy's body, then he could become indestructible. But it was kind of weird the way he just turned around. I mean, yeah, I'm not too sure about that one. And also, I think Freddy should get a badge. He should be, I mean, especially that Bobby. I mean, the whole timeline makes absolutely no sense in my mind right now. I'm sorry to say it doesn't. But if they were to somehow go back to our time, with Cooper having seen the Fire Walk With Me footage in the woods about Bobby killing somebody, I mean, there'll be I feel like there's a couple of police positions that will become available shortly, with Chad as well. So I think they should hire Freddie, even though he probably doesn't have like his American visa, but whatever. The Giant probably got it for him already. When Cooper says, when Gordon Cole gets there and he says, we live in a dream with that special effect. I don't know why, but again, I had a feeling that I was hearing Bad Cooper. And I've been trying to remember if he says that at some point. I wasn't able to pinpoint the moment where I might have heard that before. If you guys know, please let me know in the comment section. But it gave me a really creepy feeling when I heard this, with the face appearing. I mean, I'm not too sure. I have a couple of theories, but they're not theories. They're really just nonsense. But I feel like what happens from then on, Cooper has seen before. Well, it did seem like he had seen a lot of things already before. Like, he even knew about Freddy. But it feels to me like he's living that moment in his head from then on. But to me, it's not just a dream. It can't just be a dream. And you become very existential with the ending of that finale. Kind of like how can you create the universe from nothingness? It's kind of like this same sort of crazy loop I have in my head right now. And then I'm puzzled by the fact that, the lights kind of go out and he says Cole, and then they appear in the Great Northern with Diane and Cole. I mean, they could have just walked, but yeah, I don't know. Also, Diane's face when it appears just before, well, Nato kind of, some black smoke gets out of her face, and then we get into the red room. Notice that half of her face is in the shadow, the other one is lit. And then a few moments later, you notice her nail polish, which is black and white. And the fact that we see either a doppelganger or a tulpa, I'm not too sure how to differentiate those from that scene. I have a feeling that she came with something. Look at my face, that's how puzzled I am. What's that? I can't really read my sloppy handwriting. Oh yeah, and yeah, basically did Cole need to be at the Great Northern? Except for the fact that it makes me think that Cooper knows everything that's gonna happen, even though he's a bit like, with the way things are going to unfold in parts 18, he seems puzzled when Laura keeps disappearing and what year is this and all of this, but he was expecting this to happen in a way. I don't think he failed. I don't think he failed. I think it's an ongoing mission that he's embarked. I wrote something that I don't understand. The weird transition between the station. Oh, I mentioned that. Okay. Philip Jeffries. Isn't that little creepy jumping man the creepiest thing ever? With his Pinocchio mask. He has a slingshot, but he's not using it. He should just throw stones in a lake like a normal jumping man. Yeah, Philip Jeffries, when they get there, everything that he says, I feel, shows confusion in a sense. It's slippery in here, he says. Well, when it's slippery, you might fall, so I guess he's kind of letting know those guys, careful where you step because you might end up on your butt. All right, okay. So what I don't understand, and please explain it to me. Well, not in a condescending manner, but like, I don't understand how you could. Let's say they're in 2017 because they're probably more in like 2016 in the series, but nowadays, like 25 years later in The Return, Bob gets killed. Evil Coop gets either killed or barbecued somewhere in the Red Room. Then he goes back to 25 years ago. But Bob still exists, unless I'm confused. Like, he was destroyed in the future, he wasn't destroyed in the past. So the fact that he would save Laura from dying, which is great, and then bring her home, he would still bring her home to soon to become crazy Judy Sarah, from my understanding, and evil Ray Wise. So I'm lost there. Please guide me. Yeah, and then with Philip Jeffries as well, he says this is where you'll find Judy. And yeah, in that scene, he doesn't find Judy at all. If Judy is in fact Sarah Palmer, he finds Laura Palmer. We just see Sarah at the end when she's crying. And I'm pretty convinced this scene is nowadays, from the way things look. And I could see like empty vodka bottles. So it seems like modern day Sarah. Yeah, when she sounds like she's a humpback whale. Love that. I love humpback whales. Kind of hate the frog moth, but whatever. Yeah, so I'm confused because Dale he wasn't looking for Judy, but he should have, because that was the whole point with Cole and their secret, like, that they kept for the last 25 years, that, oh, we knew all along that this was going to happen. Oh, and oh, there he is, right on time. Cooper, and then Cole, you know. I'm confused. Also in that footage from Fire Walk with Me, I mean, no wonder James gets some kind of a bicycle crash later on in life. He cannot respect street lights. I mean, basic green, yellow, red lights. He starts his engines when it's red. Come on, James. Don't hurt yourself. Yeah, said that. Okay, so when Dell leaves the Red Room at the end of part 17, I think. No, after the whole. Oh God, I'm so confused. You see, and I just rewatched the episodes. Well, anyway, when Dell, we find him at where the lodge, the Black Lodge is, and Diane is waiting for him. How does he know that it's the same Diane as before? Is it the same Dale as before? I am very much confused. Everything is possible right now. This is why it's like such a great creative ground for authors and crazy movie makers to actually continue. That would be nice. And please don't comment like that you're such a big David Lynch fan that, you know, it would be the end of the world if you were to continue Twin Peaks into season 4 or whatever form that might be, a movie or a special project, whatever. These guys are able to decide if they want to be creative or not, if they want to produce something. So just let them decide. If we or anyone wants to voice their support for something else coming in the future, just let them. It's only love. Please deal with the love. Come on. Why does he go to Odessa? I don't understand. The only clue I can see is that, well, except like Judy's restaurant, that seems to be random. Like he's just driving next to that. It's just following his instincts, maybe. But it reminded me a lot of like the beef jerky and the turkey jerky, the symbol, the logo. Like he had a lot of horns and stuff like this inside the restaurant. And I mean, I don't know what's up with Dale frying guns. To be honest, he might even. I mean, that's why I don't think it's Dale. It's a little bit Dale because he protected the waitress that was harassed by those jerks. But if not only can somebody get injured, but it's actually like damaging property of that greasy spoon that seems to make about like $6 a day. So why would he do that? Like the real Dale we know would not have done this. I don't think so. So I feel maybe there's a bit of Dougie as well in there. So maybe Dougie, bad Coop and good Coop are like all reunited now. I'm not sure how that happened, but it's not like it's not happening, right? I mean, something is happening and nobody knows how it is happening, or is it? I don't know. Please don't tell me that it's confused in the comments. I know I'm kind of like playing with that. Also, when Laura or Carrie Page, what an interesting name, right? When she enters the door, she says, "Did you find him?" And that's very confusing. Who are we talking about there? There's obviously a dead guy who seems to have been dead for a few days, and she's been away from work for at least 3 days. But it's like she was looking for somebody else. And I found it really sad to see Carrie slash Laura, because she seemed to me like kind of like a child, or like a 13-year-old that is inside the body of a middle-aged woman. The way she doesn't know where like Washington is, and yeah, I don't know. I just found it pretty sad. She seems like she can't really navigate through life on her own at this point. So she kind of needs Dale for that. And I'm not sure why he wants to bring her to his mom either. To her mom, I'm sorry. I mean, if he knows everything, doesn't he know about Sarah being possessed? Obviously not. And also in that scene, like they're driving and it looks like they're being followed and they look a little bit paranoid. I mean, I guess FBI agents are always a little bit paranoid. It's part of their job requirements. And then you're like, oh no, they're not, they're not being followed because the car passes them. But then in my head, it could also maybe be a metaphor. Like he's actually being followed by I don't know what kind of evil. And then the evil gets ahead of them, which is basically kind of what happens with the end scene. So I feel like maybe this car is showing us what's coming. I mean, it's possibly just in my imagination, but I like it there. Yeah, so I wasn't able to do those videos before. I was just drained because I started feeling lost a few days before the finale. I was trying to figure everything out and I felt as though I couldn't. I mean, to a certain extent, I could guess some things or hope for some things, interpret some things, but I'm glad I didn't predict more than I did, because that would have been broken inside maybe. No, I'm kidding. I feel as though the picture, which we haven't seen, but the picture in Laura's room plays a role in the whole Tremond and what's her name? Schiff. It's out of my head right now. But the whole thing with the old lady from Fire Walk with Me is the husband, that little freaky kid with the mask on, the grandson. And people, because before I heard Dale say, "What year is this?" I said it a few seconds before, but to me it was obvious that, and I'm not even sure now that I think about it, because there are elements of past and there are elements of future as well, I feel, in that scene, or actually even the whole last part of part 18, when they pass the R&R, it looks like an old logo. It doesn't say to go yet. It doesn't say, of course it doesn't say Norma's R&R either. And the way the lady, Alice, when she answers the door, I mean, she's not dressed like she's in 1995, I think. And didn't seem to me like it was nowadays, because it made no sense that she was there. So it could be just a few years from now, but then with the information we get from the previous owners, that makes no sense. So that leads me to believe that they're in a parallel universe. And maybe that's almost a red herring, that the show finishes with, what year is this? Maybe the question is more, what world is this? And who are they? If Carrie Page is Carrie Page, then who's Dell? Especially that now is Richard. But I feel like he wasn't sorry, it was himself before that. So I'm utterly confused and amazed at the same time, because it's been a journey. I mean, I am completely traumatized. But I want it to be. So thank you. And I truly mean what I'm gonna say. I am so bored with fiction. I mean, there's some good things out there, but I usually predict everything, or I've seen it before. That I hadn't seen, even though I've seen I haven't seen all of Lynch's movie. I'm a David Lynch fan, but I'm not like a crazy fanatic. I got into Twin Peaks for Twin Peaks, and it brought me back to Lynch, which I knew without having seen his movies 100 times. And whoever is going to say that it wasn't worth watching, seriously, you have no credibility in my eyes. It was worth watching. It's just there was a price to pay, which was utter confusion, but also this hunger for trying to make sense of it, because we like this universe so much. And I like the way that they've been away from the old series, and the project has evolved, and that's great. If they were doing Twin Peaks from 25 years ago, just that, I don't think there will be a point. So yeah, it goes back to, is this past or is this future? Anyway, seriously, I wonder, people who have like schizophrenia, how they feel watching this. It's probably not healthy. But for most people with just a rich imagination, I think this has been an amazing experience. And I sure hope we get something with the book that's coming out. I look forward to getting this book. I will eventually sometime do some videos about the books. I mentioned that before, but I want to have a look at the secret history of Twin Peaks as well, to understand more references that could help understand a little bit more. I heard that there was the very disturbing scene between Diane and Cooper in the motel. Supposedly there were rituals like this before, so I feel like Cooper knew what he was getting into when he crossed that electric place on the highway. He told Diane, like, let's kiss now. We don't know what will happen. So I feel like a lot of what has been and will be happening, Dell knows already, but there's also an element that he can control. So basically, those are my thoughts now. I will probably eventually realize that I've missed a couple of points that I wanted to mention, so I'll just do another video. But for now, this is it. I just wanted to admit that I'm completely just like NATO. But it's cool. I'd rather be in space than with my 2 feet on the pavement, just like every day, wouldn't you? I feel blessed to have experienced such an such an otherworldly experience sitting on my couch with my little kitty. Yeah. Yeah, she hates YouTube. So there you go. All right, guys, thank you for watching. By the way, make sure to subscribe there, and feel free to comment as well, but stay nice to people who like Twin Peaks, even though you hated it. You have a right. But look within. If you're so angry, you gotta look within. I think you have issues. I think David Lynch has this power. You know, when you die, you don't have all the answers. You just don't. You don't wait before you get all the answers before you die. In a way, I feel like that's what happened with the ending of season 3. It just kind of, you just have to let go, even though you don't have all the answers. But I still have a little bit of hope that the project might reincarnate into something that will follow Twin Peaks, like season 4, movie, whatever. Surprise us. But please, let it live also. All right, thank you for watching, guys. I'll catch you later.